This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO classified. UFO classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Happy Fantopia Friday, everyone. I'm Erica Lukes. Happy to be here and see my people in chat and know that I have an audience listening from all over the world. And each and every week I get more and more messages from people that have either come in contact with the radio show, have listened to various lectures that I've done, or seen a couple of the TV shows that I have been on. And it really means the world to me for all of you to reach out. Please know that if I don't get in touch with you right away, it's not because I don't want to. I just need 10 of me, and that would be a great thing. But I want to give a big shout out to all of my friends, Northern UFOs especially. Thank you for taking my show, getting it on Skype, and then helping me get the word out. Each of you do a lot for me, and you're the reason I'm here. I have been busy doing my own personal research this week. I am working with the renowned Gordon Lohr, who has been on my show several times and has written books that you need to get if you can find a copy of his earlier works from the 60s when he was with NICAP. They are very groundbreaking. I have a link to his newest book on my website, ufoclassified.com. We are working on a project that will be incredible. I can't wait to release that. I will keep you posted. And I want to say that in my time in this field, as you know, I've been through a lot of things. It's been quite crazy sometimes, and it gets really hard. And there are days, I think, that I just want to say, I'm done. I'm done with this. Who needs it? What am I doing here? And I just go hide in the closets and pull my covers, or hide in bed and pull the covers up over my head, because it can be very disheartening, especially when you're subject to people that defame you and do things to hurt your chances, whether it's because of jealousy or whether it's by design. I don't know. But then I talk to people like my guest tonight, and I talked to Barry Greenwood and Gordon and Fran Ridge and Phil and Northern. And I want to say that all of you give me hope. And I feel blessed to have a support system around me that is really, really important. And older people who have worked their whole lives and sacrificed a great deal for the sake of preserving the history, and those people who have become my mentors. And I care very, very deeply for them and for preserving history and for their work. Rich Vitello is someone that I have been communicating with for, oh my gosh, probably over a year. I would say time flies when you're having fun. But Rich works with Fran Ridge at NICAP, and he has been instrumental with MADAR, and we're going to talk more about that. But Rich has also dedicated 3 decades to researching this and to pulling together a group of radio operators. And I'll post links to this wonderful site. But he has done this, and a lot of times, you know, he's done this, pulled together a small group of people. He has kept at it. He has done things for the amateur radio network, the UFO net, that are incredible. I can't wait to hear about it. But Rich recently has been kind enough to pass along some of his work to the Utah UFO archives. And I've been opening the boxes, and I'm just tickled every time I receive a donation. It means the world to me. And like I said, I love the people that I'm with. I'm proud to have people like Rich as my friend and mentor. And so, Rich, welcome to the show tonight. I know that I didn't even tell everybody everything that you've done. So just give us a little brief update on you. Give us your bio. You're on the spot.
Oh, well, first of all, good evening to you, Erica, and your listeners. And I'm very proud that you've invited me on your show. Well, I've been interested in the subject of ufology for many decades. Actually, when I was just a teenager in the early 60s, I was calling into radio shows back then that had various ufologists on to ask questions about it. And I didn't get totally serious until about 35 years ago, when myself and one or two other fellas, and by the way, I want to mention one fella in particular. His name is Bill Diggs. His call sign was WB9NLI, his amateur radio call sign, and he's since passed away. He passed away suddenly and unexpectedly several years ago. And he started the amateur radio UFO net, along with myself and one other fellow that's also passed along. So, and that was about 35 years ago. Now, that was before the internet, and we affectionately refer to the net as the Amateur Radio UFO Net, or a Roofon. We pronounce it a Roofon.
I love it.
Yeah, but in any event, back then, it was before the advent of the web, and there was the internet, but it was all textual-based, not graphics like the web is. And there were very limited access points. I happened to work for a high-tech firm back then called Data General Corporation, a computer company. And the old-timers in the audience might recognize the name, but it goes back quite a ways. Anyway, we had a direct connection to the Internet through BBN, a company called BBN, which is Bolt, Burnick, and Newman in Boston. And, that way we could exchange emails and also, theories and thoughts with other people that were interested in the field of ufology, mainly at universities and colleges throughout the nation. There were only certain number of portals for the internet at that time. And of course it evolved, and we had what we call BBSs, or bulletin board services, and you could access those through the telephone lines. And I remember the earliest ones were what they call 300 baud, and that's, if you look at the type across the screen, that's about a snail's pace. A 2-year-old could type faster. But anyway, that's what we had back then. And so as a result, the amateur radio became a wonderful medium for, communicating with others that had a interest in the field. And since we had access to nationwide propagation at that time, we had people check in from practically all 50 states in Canada. And it was quite interesting. Sometimes we'd meet twice a week, and sometimes it would go on for 2, 3. I even remember marathon sessions of 4 hours of discussing sightings. And there were a lot of people from the military that came on there and gave their experiences, shared their experiences, and other eyewitnesses that came on to share their experiences. And it was pretty fascinating for many, many years. we were very successful, and the net is still successful, although I don't run it anymore. And it still goes on. It's on the shortwave frequency on Friday evenings, 3.945 megahertz, and it's also, we have a dedicated Echolink server that's up 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and that's called it's under conferences, and that's called the Rufon Echolink server, and we meet on the Echolink server as well a couple of times a week. So there you have it. I mean, that's the long and the short of it, Erica, and there's a lot of I skipped over about 35 years of details, but I don't want to bring people to tears.
You know what? I think that's bringing people to tears is just a good thing. And speaking of, I want to talk a little bit more about your friend Bill, who passed away on May 30th in 2014, because I know you have a very, very big place for him in your heart, and that was difficult for you to want to continue after his passing. So tell us a little bit more about him.
Yes, I was inconsolable. I had known Bill for 30 years at least, and talking to him for hours at a time, twice a week for 30 years, as you can imagine, I got to know him very, very well. And since his passing was totally unexpected, it was quite a shock to me and others on the Rufon net. And like I said, I was pretty much inconsolable for a number of months, and I actually stopped doing the net for a few months until I was able to collect myself again, you might say, and resume the UFO activity on the radio. But he was a wonderful, wonderful person, a very, very intelligent guy, well briefed in physics, and incredible knowledge of ufology. And we played off one another quite well over the radio. Because he would say to me, for example, Rich, do you remember the case of blah blah blah? And he'd say the month and the year, and I'd say, yeah, as a matter of fact, I remember that, and we'd just start discussing details, and then before you know it, everybody that's listening to the net and got involved with the conversation, and it went like that for many years. It was. Pretty fascinating, especially early on when we didn't have any other means of contacting people. I mean, other than writing a letter or calling them on the phone if you knew their phone number. And that's, like I say, his reputation preceded him as a ufologist and, his technical knowledge of physics and so forth. And everybody respected him.
And he's one of those, and I know how much you cared and care for him. It's always hard to lose a good friend, especially someone who has the same type of interests that we do, because it seems like it's few and far between to find people that have the intellect and the knowledge base and the acceptance of this subject.
Well, that's true, Erica, and Bill was an exceptional person in the respect that his history in the field of ufology went back many decades, and he just had an exceptional knowledge of an unbelievable number of cases, and he advised me on several books, which I'll mention with your permission.
Yes.
One of them was, and I found he was absolutely correct. One of them was the UFO Encyclopedia by Jerry Clark. It's a wonderful reference book. And as a matter of fact, I included that in the books that I sent to you.
Yes.
And by the way, I still have a shipment of 2 or 3 more boxes, and I hope the next box of books and documentation doesn't break your back, because it's very heavy.
You know what? I need the extra workout, so I love it. And it's like I said, it's such a thrill to open the boxes and see what's in there. It means the world to me.
Well, I'm glad, and my thought on this is that you're the future of ufology, and the thing is that it's my time is I won't say my time is up, of course, but I'm weary, I'm tired. After 35, 40 years, I'm ready to pass the buck, so to speak. And you're a key person, a key player in this field of ufology, in my opinion. And I think all the material will go to good use.
I just feel honored that you would say that. And like I said, when I receive, when I open these boxes, and I just know that this is what you have done. This is where you've been looking, and all of these things. And I love learning from people like yourself, because we have to. And as you know, we've had candid conversations about this. We're right on the edge of losing all of this history, which is critical if we're ever going to make progress in the field. Now we've got the people on YouTube that are making up these ridiculous videos, and people that are coming in and trying to steer the narrative that have no knowledge base, and that, we just can't have that happen. And so I appreciate your help in regard to helping educate the public.
Well, I'm only glad that I can help a little bit, Erica, and hopefully, my little bit with other people's will add up in the long run. But I know we mentioned some of the. You asked me about some of my favorite cases, and I almost, at first I said, well, I'm not sure. I have to stop and think about this. There's so many. But I made a quick list, and I stopped at 15 cases, because I guess you could go on forever. But certainly one of the cases that impressed me the most was the Betty and Bonnie Hill experience in 1961 in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And I think I met Betty more than once. She was a very sincere person. She's since passed on, unfortunately. And of course, Bonnie passed on many years ago. But she was a very sincere person. And I believed pretty much, all of her testimony. I mean, she couldn't have been any more sincere. And if you read the book too, the book regarding their incident,
Interrupted Journey.
Interrupted Journey. Thank you. Well, actually, you have the book now. I don't, so I have to. I'm doing this from recall, and the memory is fallible after you get to a certain age, But in any event, yes, the Interrupted Journey. It's a fascinating book, and I think there's so many things that the debunkers bring up, but there's absolutely indisputable evidence, whereas the marks on their car and so forth and so on, that's hard evidence, and it's pretty difficult to deny that, especially when it's been examined and re-examined and examined 1,000 times and looked at from every angle, Another one that impressed me, and again, you can't listen to the naysayers or the debunkers, because they come up with these absurd explanations. And the incident at Exeter, also in New Hampshire, in September 1965. is definitely not explained. Now, there's websites that will say they've solved the incident at Exeter, and believe me, they have not. They came up with some ridiculous assertions that the police and the eyewitness, a young man named Mascarello, I believe it is, and there were 2 or 3 police officers that also witnessed these sightings. Up near Exeter is near Pease Air Force Base, or the former Pease Air Force Base. I don't think it's an Air Force Base anymore, in New Hampshire. And they saw these things up close and personal. They didn't see them from, 10, 20 miles away. They weren't little dots of light in the sky. They were, their mouths were agape because these things were right in front of them. And the sad thing is that when it was researched by the, quote, officials, of course, the military denied any knowledge of anything, which is not unusual. But the thing is they basically humiliated the police officers, and they called them liars, and which I think is just awful. I mean, to take credible people that have reputable careers and just smear them like that is just an awful thing. And of course, when either the government or the military does things like this, people tend to, at least in the past, they tended to believe them. So, they say, well, these police officers were hallucinating or whatever the case may be, but they saw an airplane. They were some of the explanations that are on the web now that they saw Air Force airplanes. And believe me, if you read the book Incident at Exeter, you'll realize they did not see an airplane, and they had multiple eyewitnesses. One of the things I wanted to mention for the listeners out there was one of the most valuable websites, in my humble opinion, for reference for any future ufologist or anybody deeply interested in the subject, is the Newforic site, run by Fran Ridge. And of course, Newforic was the acronym, the abbreviation for the National UFO Reporting Center. And that website is probably one of the most valuable references on the web because it has the entire Project Blue Book listed there.
It does, and I can hear that music, and I hate to cut you off there because I want to continue talking about this. We are going to take our first break. I'm here with Rich Vitello, who is a communications officer, historical researcher, and has done so much more with regard to really researching and creating groundbreaking technology. Madar, we'll talk more about that. Stick around. The best is yet to come. I just had to say that for you, Lib.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Hello, KCOR listeners. Lorian Fenton here, inviting you to join me at UFO MegaCon, a new 7-day and 8-night immersion event from the original producers of the world's largest and longest UFO conferences in recent history. There will be 50 speakers, UFO military witness whistleblowers, award-winning filmmakers, and special guests discussing all things UFO, alien, and disclosure. UFO MegaCon will premiere never-heard-before speakers bringing you new and amazing information. There will be experiencer groups, Skywatch's musical entertainment, and even a game show with George Norrie. Join me at UFO MegaCon March 24th through 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only conference you need to attend this year. Check it out at UFOMegacon.com. That's UFOMegacon.com.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
Toxins are everywhere, from the air we breathe to the food we eat and the water we drink. In a world where 80,000 known toxins and heavy metals threaten our very existence, how are you going to protect yourself and your loved ones? Introducing Pure Body Extra Strength, the world's first colloidal zeolite that helps trap and remove toxins as well as heavy metals from your body that are messing with your memory, clarity, sleep, and focus. Don't just take our word for it or the testimonials from our thousands of happy customers. Check out the hundreds of articles and case studies on the National Institute of Health website proving zeolite's powerful ability to remove toxins. For a limited time, listeners to KCOR will receive 10% off their first order. To get started, go to trypurebody.com and enter promo code RADIO10. Again, that's trypurebody.com. Toxic junk is all around us, but now you can take back control of your health and protect yourself by detoxing with Pure Body Extra Strength. You'll be on your way to sleeping better, thinking more clearly, and feeling more energetic. Go to trypurebody.com right now and get started today.
In the shadows, a voice cries out. Evidence that you're not alone.
You said my name. What is your name?
Proof that the living and the dead coexist. Or do they? Every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, join writer, producer, and paranormal investigator Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio as he explores, interviews, and investigates evidence alongside some of the best in the paranormal community and beyond.
6 people killed.
Ghost Box Radio, Wednesday nights exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, because the dead don't sleep. Ghost Box Radio.
Are you ready to go? Turn your radio. It's showtime! You're listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Break this up.
Broadcasting from the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Their base is so large it has to draw most of its power from the nearby nuclear fusion plant.
The future of radio is here and now.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to UFO Classified. You can find me on Facebook at UFO Classified and on my website, UFOclassified.com. I am working on ericalukes.com, which I am very excited to be uploading some documents specifically with regard to Utah, my home base. So look out for that and I'll keep you posted. I will be on Spaced Out Radio later this evening with Dave Scott, and that should be a very rousing interview given the recent interview that was conducted by Chant Hanna, Frank Stotler, and Jan Harzan. And Jan had some very interesting things to say in rebuttal to Phil Leach, who has been on the show twice now, to his comments. And I want to just say something that really caught my eye or caught my ear in this interview. When the host said that Phil Leach should have gone through the proper channels to get information or to get the ethical things done. And to me, Phil has been on my show twice now and talked specifically about the process he went through with MUFON, with the MUFON board of directors, with the executive director. Everything was done in a professional and ethical manner in the best hopes for MUFON to make a good change. And so I wanted to put that out there. That's important. So anyway, make sure when you're listening to radio shows and things like that, that you get all the information. I have 100% support Phil Leach, and hopefully he'll be on here in the next little bit. But my guest this evening is someone who has been very, very gracious to me, who has done a lot of work for 35 years in this subject, a lot of times behind the scenes. He works hand in hand with Fran Rich of NICAP. They have worked on MADAR, which is an incredibly important device. I have one here in Utah. Rich, it's the Communications Officer, Historical Research, Document Transcripts. He's created and organized and executed net control station for the amateur radio UFO net, rufon.org, and that's been really cool. And thank you. I love learning from you and hearing you've told me so many stories about things. And before we got cut off, you were going to talk a little bit about a really important resource for new people in ufology.
Absolutely, Erica. Probably one of the most important websites for researchers that are serious about the subject, because some of the reading can be very dry. However, the Nuforic website that Fran Rich runs, and Nuforic was a former UFO organization, and it stands for the National UFO Reporting Center. And that website has the entire Project Blue Book on it, as well as commentaries from more recent ufologists, world-renowned ufologists. The cases have been researched and reviewed and commented on, and it's an unbelievable resource for anybody who's serious about the subject. It really is. And again, I want to say that's Nuforic, NUFORC, and I think it's .org, and it's a great site for future ufologists to research what's in the past. But getting back to
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say, and that's there are a handful of sites that I would just really recommend, like that, like a NICAP, Barry Greenwood Archives, and Project 1947. And those are all excellent places to go to learn about the history and to view case reports. So thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, and Project 1947, by the way, oh my gosh, that the fellow that runs that, and the name escapes me at the moment. Oh my gosh, it's memory is
Peter Davenport.
No, he runs. Peter Davenport runs the
UFORC.
The
National UFO Reporting Center. Yeah.
He runs the. Okay. What am I trying to say? I'm confused. It's very easy. In any event, it's Jan Aldrich. That's his name.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm right there with you. See, I'm going. Jan Aldrich.
Project 47. It's mostly guided by Jan Aldrich, I believe, and he actually got me back in the early '90s, I believe. He got me interested in Nuforic, the National UFO Reporting Center, and also Fran Rich's various email distribution lists that he has in association with the various projects that he's worked on, and that the NICAP. That's what I meant to say, not Nuforic. I meant to say NICAP.org. You'll excuse me. I've got so much in my mind that I meant to say NICAP.org, and that's what Fran runs. Peter Davenport runs Nuforic, the National UFO Reporting Center, and Fran, of course, runs the NICAP.org site, and he has several other mailing lists He's got a Luniscan mailing list, a NICAP, in addition to the MADAR. And he's got an A-team, which I'm proud to be a part of.
That's quite a list of heavy hitters there.
Well, it's I'll give you an idea of, I've been saving the emails for many years, and I've got them archived. However, I can just tell you in the past year or so, I've got about 500 emails for the A-team, and 1,800 is plus for the MADAR list, 3,872 for the NICAP list, and 2,500 plus for the MADAR email distribution list. So there's a lot. As you can imagine, there's a tremendous amount of information that gets passed back and forth between people and researchers that are on the various lists. Not everybody is on every list, naturally. Unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, I am, because I keep the archives of all this stuff. But I feel kind of privileged to be able to be on the inside, so to speak, of a lot of this research. And getting back to, and I wrote down the new Forex site, and instead of the NICAP site, and that's what confused me in my notes here. But in any event, anybody that's serious about ufology can go on NICAP and find the entire Project Blue Book. And you can also go, if you had a sighting, you can go on the NUFORIC, the National UFO Reporting Center site, and Peter Davenport does a wonderful job of archiving and filing the UFO reports that he receives worldwide. And you can, if you know the year and the month at least that you've had thought you had a sighting, whatever, you can research it on that site. You can look it up in his database. Very, very useful. One of the other things I wanted to mention, we were talking about the various sightings that you said were my favorite cases, and one of them is the Travis Walton case from November 1975. And I don't know, I've met Travis a couple of times, as well as Mike Rogers, who was his best friend and associate back then. And I can tell you that these people have been grilled, and they've given lie detector tests over and over again, and they've all come out in favor of the witnesses. And the evidence is, as far as I'm concerned, is indisputable. There was one lie detector test they said that was questionable, but that particular lie detector test, the person that provided that test, the so-called expert that provided the lie detector test, was known for his inaccuracy, I guess you'd say. But in any event, they took many lie detector tests, and all the other ones came out positive. I don't know how familiar you are with the Travis Walton case, Erica, but it's pretty fascinating.
You know what? He is the real deal. And I have had conversations with him. In fact, last year I was speaking at the Utah UFO Festival. I just like to pull him aside. And when you hear him talk about it and how, he's tired. He's been doing this for a long time. He feels very frustrated and disillusioned with the field, but he has had such a profound experience that you can't look at him and when he's describing how deeply this has affected him and not know that this was a real situation.
Absolutely, and he's a very, I'll say, for lack of a better description, very non-sensational person. I mean, I don't think he really likes the limelight that much, really. He's kind of a reserved person, and Mike Rogers is as well. But it's of course, people may or may not remember the movie that was made about it, based on the true story, Fire in the Sky, and that was that came out in 1993, March of 1993, and of course, Travis has mentioned that the directors, producers, and so forth of that movie had taken a little bit of Hollywood license and enhanced it. Of course, if they didn't, the audience probably would not have gone to see the movie. So
right, and that's what's happening, I think, with Project Blue Book now on the History Channel. They've definitely taken quite a few liberties with retelling that story.
That's over the top. It really is. That's why I say the real story, if you look on the NICAP site at Project Blue Book, you find that the cases that have been recorded on Project Blue Book, you can see that it was Project Blue Book itself was a whitewash right from the beginning, and they gathered information, but they discounted most of it, and I think that's what turned Dr. Hynek around, who, as you know, was the probably the most famous debunker of the Project Blue Book, until he realized that the evidence was, the preponderance of evidence was overwhelming in favor of the phenomenon. So, and then he became one of the strongest proponents of ufology. He even made a personal appearance, cameo appearance in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
He did, and I will say that he was over in Hestelen in Norway back probably a year before he passed away, and he was so tickled to be over there, he wanted to come back, and he called Project Hestelen, or the Hestelen Valley, a living UFO laboratory. And I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. That project has been going on for years and years, and they've done an amazing job over there. They really have. I don't think they've received the amount of press that they deserve, but they certainly have done their homework.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I've been so adamant, about traveling there and establishing a relationship where I can learn from different people. Tomas Dahl, who's going to be on the show, and Erling Strand, and all of these people who have been so gracious. It's, for me, when you get frustrated with American ufology and all of the, whatever's going on with it, you have to turn to really critical, unbiased scientific research, really important research, and that's why I always point to Norway.
Absolutely, and they've been at it for a very long time. It's not like they just started last year. I don't know how many years they've been at it, but I know it's been a long time.
Yeah, 35.
35 years, yeah. Well, there's besides the Travis Walton case, and by the way, I wanted to mention this for your listeners, Erica. All these things, all these cases, you can get all the details. All you have to do is Google them. You Google Travis Walton case, and it'll come right up. And the Lonnie Zamora 1964 Socorro, New Mexico case is another one. A fascinating case. But again, Lonnie Zamora was a policeman, sheriff, whatever, and they kind of made him look foolish, and all he was doing was coming forth with the truth. But again, there's no respect even for police officers, It's too bad. It's really too bad. But anyway, that's another...
It is a great case. Ray Stanford was on my show last week talking about
really?
Socorro, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, these people are credible witnesses. These people, and they saw these things up close. It's not like, he saw a light in the sky 20 miles away, But in any event, another case that came to mind, Erica, was Shag Harbor of October 1967 in Nova Scotia, Canada. And they call that Canada's Roswell. And rightfully so, because the witnesses, there's no doubt in any of the witnesses' minds as to what they saw. But if you listen to the explanations of the official channels, you would think that the incident never even occurred, But again, Shag Harbor, October 1967, Nova Scotia, Canada. And you can Google that and get all the details. And probably the most infamous one, besides Roswell, which I won't even bring up right now, because Roswell's had more press than, of course, anybody. But Kenneth Arnold in 1947, June 24th, right? He saw nine glowing objects over Mount Rainier in Washington. And by his reckoning, now he was a private pilot and had been so for a number of years. And by his reckoning, these objects were going 1,700 miles an hour. Now, I'd like to point out that the first person to break the sound barrier was Chuck Yeager. Okay, and he did it in a Bell X-1 rocket on October 14th, 1947. Now that is several months after Kenneth Arnold had his sighting, and this was the singular airplane in the entire world at the time that actually could break the sound barrier, which is 758 miles an hour at sea level. It's something less than that at elevation, but that was a singular plane, if you want to call it a plane. It's actually a rocket, I think. But and he was the only person to break the sound barrier. But that was months after Kenneth Arnold reported his 9 glowing objects going 1,700 miles an hour. Again, people, the debunkers and naysayers, they come up with all these ridiculous explanations. But I mean, I don't think he sugarcoated it, Kenneth Arnold. I don't think he, I just don't think he wanted to put himself on TV or anything like that. Well, of course, in 1947, he probably couldn't. But in any event.
And so I just want to ask you, because I want to, you talk about the description of Kenneth Arnold and seeing the objects. And for the first thing that came to my mind is could you describe, because I know you could, the difference, if there is any, in the descriptions of the Washington 1952 Washington D.C. sightings? Were the objects similar?
As opposed to the Kenneth Arnold sighting?
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Because supposedly the 1952 sightings involved Air Force fighter jets. And of course, Kenneth Arnold's 1947 sighting was just his private plane. As a matter of fact, I believe, as the story goes, he was on a search and rescue mission. And in his Piper Club or whatever he had at the time, and when he had his sighting. Whereas the Washington, D.C. sightings in 1952 involved, now there's some controversy over this too, I want to mention, but it involved multiple radar locations and radar sightings, and multiple images painted on the radar screens, on multiple radar screens. Some people say that the story, for example, in Life magazine in 1952, the radar screens were purposely doctored to show these objects that they saw, but doesn't take away from the fact that it actually happened. And every time they called out the fighter planes, and I can't remember if they were F-86 fighters, Sabre jets, or F-100 Super Sabres, I can't recall now. However, every time they called out the fighter jets, the objects would disappear off of radar. And of course, that's a little different than the Kenneth Arnold sighting, simply because you're talking about multiple, witnesses and multiple means of confirming these, including radar, these objects. Where, of course, Kenneth Arnold didn't have that advantage. He had line of sight, and he saw it plain and simple with his own eyes, but. He didn't have multiple multiple witnesses and radar images and so forth, which the Washington UFO incident had. But I found it interesting that he's the first, again, getting back to Kenneth Arnold, that Chuck Yeager is the first person to break the sound barrier several months after Kenneth Arnold had his sighting.
Oh, that's fascinating. And I hear that music, so that means we've got to head out to break. This is our longer break for the evening, but I'm here with Rich Vitello. He has much more to share. Stick around. We will be back after the break.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brizell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to the second half of UFO Classified. I'm Erica Lukes. Always happy to be here with my friends, my mentors, people that I really, truly respect, and people that I feel have information that is important for all of us to know. Right now, Rich Vitello is joining me. He is the project communications director and liaison between MADAR tech support and the project director, Fran Ridge. Rich has been a vital part of NICAP's research division. He's a member of NICAP's A-team, which is really a list of heavy hitters, and has also been a dear friend of Fran for many years. I've had Fran on my show a few times, and I support him. He is a good man, great researcher, and has done a lot for the field, as well as Rich. And Rich has been studying UFOs for at least 35 years and has done historical archiving, transcriptions, and I'm thrilled to have some of his lifelong collections that he has graciously donated to the Utah UFO archives. It just means the world to me. And Rich, thank you not only for having faith in me and wanting me to carry things forward, that means a great deal, but also for doing the wonderful work you've done for 35 years for all of us.
Well, thank you very much, Erica. And it's really, I've always, as I have mentioned to you before, I've always shied away from doing radio and TV shows because I've seen better ufologists than myself practically crucified, by the people that have invited him on board. But of course, I know your show is not like that, and so I'm only glad to support you and your show. One thing I did want to straighten out for your listeners that I really kind of messed up on earlier because I had my notes jumbled up. But we mentioned Peter Davenport and the new Forex site, the National UFO Reporting Center. And we discussed that a little bit and how you can look up particular sightings in Peter's database. However, NICAP, I didn't expand on that. I mentioned that they have Project Blue Book there, and that's run by Fran Ridge again. But NICAP was a premier UFO organization that no longer exists. And NICAP stands for, it's NICAP, and it stands for National Investigation Committee on Aerial Phenomenon. And I think I neglected to say that before. But again, it's NICAP.org, and NICAP was a premier UFO organization long before MUFON. We were talking about the various sightings, and one I wanted to mention that brings us more close to current date is the USS Nimitz on November 14th in 2004. They have eyewitnesses that say they saw this thing come out of the ocean. I mean, why would anybody fabricate that? And particularly military people. I don't think, and the pilots that had spotted the same and similar object on their radar. And then there's the infamous O'Hare Airport incident of 2006, which they've tried to debunk, 6 ways to Sunday, and it's impossible because the eyewitnesses saw this object. They saw it actually ascend and poke a hole in the clouds, and yet again they deny that it happened. But there are many eyewitnesses, and again that's the O'Hare Airport sighting of 2006. And again, you can Google any one of these and get all the details, and there are a lot of details. Another one that fascinated me, going back a little bit in time, was the Valentich disappearance of October 1978 on the Bass Strait of Australia. absolutely fascinating. I mean, they actually have a recording of him saying that there was an object above him, and that and you could hear metallic sounds in the background, and his flight was being interrupted by this object. But again, they never found any debris. They never found him, and they deny that the incident ever amounted to anything.
And that is a really interesting case. I know that certain people have heard that audio. I've heard a portion of that audio, which is very disturbing. I haven't heard the portion with the metallic sounds, which I understand people have that but can't release it because of certain situations. Have you heard any of the tape?
Oh, yes, I have heard it, and it sounds. I'll tell you, it sounds totally legit to me. It sounds like he had, as a result of the object that was over him, it sounds like he had panic in his voice, and apparently he wasn't given to, be that type of person. I mean, he was in fact a private pilot. I don't think he had thousands of hours in the plane, but he did have enough experience where he felt comfortable, flying across the Bass Strait. And but if you listen to his voice, there's something wrong there. I mean, if he's alone in the plane and he's panicking, there's got to be a reason for that. I mean, he can't, he wouldn't just panic because he saw a cloud or because, he's flying over the ocean, so there's no mountains to fly into or anything like that. But I've heard all kinds of excuses. For example, he was flying upside down, and he confused the ocean with the sky. And I'm not saying that's impossible. I've heard of that before. But if you listen to his voice, it doesn't sound like that to me whatsoever. It doesn't sound like he was disoriented at all, as much as he was panicked.
Well, the metallic sounds, from what I understand, are absolutely chilling.
Well, they are. And again, if you listen to the debunkers and the naysayers, they say, well, that metallic sound was his plane breaking up as he hit the ocean because he was flying upside down. And, again, based on his voice inflection and the tone of his voice, it didn't sound like he was disoriented or had any problem flying at all. It sounded like exactly what he described. There was an object over him, and it was disturbing his instruments, and he was, pretty much. It sounded to me like he was pretty much in a panic. So, you make of it what you will, but I just find it hard to believe that all these people are flying upside down or hallucinating, or it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense.
No, it doesn't. And I have to ask you because, for those of us who are in this and are so passionate and dedicate so much time, a majority of people that do that because they've had their own personal encounters. And have you had anything that you felt was odd in your life?
Well, I have had an instance or two where I haven't been able to positively identify what I was looking at. However, I certainly wouldn't count it as a close encounter of any kind, but because it was at a great distance, and both times that I saw this, it was at night. So the amount of visibility was good as far as stars in the sky. You could see everything, and there was no cloud cover. However, there's only so much you can see in the dark. You see an outline or you see lights and so forth. So, but I'll tell you, Erica, I have interviewed over the years many people who have told me of their close encounters, up close and personal. And again, this isn't like a light in the sky 20 miles away. This is like right in front of them. As a matter of fact, one of the people was a boss I used to work for at one of the companies. I worked for a software company in Framingham, Mass. And she told me, she brought me in her office, and she was the department manager. And she told me in confidence, she knew that I had an interest in the subject. And she told me of a close encounter that she had when she was a kid. And she was, to this day, flabbergasted by it. And she said her and her girlfriend were riding their bicycles down the street. No big deal. And it was broad daylight. And she said they just rounded a corner on their bicycles, and right in front of them, in a field, right in front of them was this huge UFO. And she said, Rich, she said, if you ever mention this to anybody, I will totally deny it. But she actually drew a picture of it. And it was your typical saucer-shaped UFO. And she was, really wide-eyed about it. And it's something that I know will stay with her for the rest of her life. And that's just one of many, many people that I've talked to that have had these personal experiences. And again, the preponderance of circumstantial evidence is just so overwhelming that these people can't be making this up all over the world. People that have no connection with each other whatsoever, and they're describing the exact same things. And I don't know how anybody could deny this stuff. Another wonderful sighting, Erica, is the Belgian UFO wave of 1989 to 1990. Now that was quite fascinating because as I recall, the general of the Belgian Air Force got involved, and they had, I think it was F-16 fighter jets chasing this triangular object through the sky. And it happened over a period of many, many months. Like I say, 1989 to 1990. This wasn't something that, was fleeting, and they sent a jet up, and they saw it for a second and it disappeared. This is something that they viewed on radar for months, traversing the the Belgian countryside, and having sent Air Force jets up to chase it and so forth. But then nothing conclusive has ever become of it because they couldn't catch it, or they couldn't figure out what it was. But it was a large black triangle. And, I'm not saying that it's from another planet, because God knows it could be the military, but, with the stealth bomber and the stealth fighter, certainly they're working on things now that are way in advance of that. But this is back in 1989 now, so I wouldn't understand why the military would be flying a top-secret aircraft over a foreign country that had fighter jets and radar. And it, again, just doesn't make sense, And the general of the Belgian Air Force has gone on record, and he's been on TV a number of times as, being an eyewitness to this incident.
Yeah, that was an amazing flap. And you bring up something when you say, could it have been a military, something, and I have to wonder, we have so many people here that love to go to Area 51 and then go hang out at, on the borders of Dugway and different things. And, great. I personally wouldn't want to go hang out on the border of Dugway when they've done all the chemical and weapons testing and, and things like that. But I mean, how much of this can we say, or can we attribute to perhaps the military testing something?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it? And I'm not sure anybody has the answer besides the military. But I will say one thing. Again, this is something that has been tracked on radar across going across the entire country of Belgium by their officials, their general of the Air Force and fighter pilots and so forth, and eyewitnesses, civilian eyewitnesses that have seen this thing. And it makes no sense that the U.S. or any other country, for that matter, would expose their most secret weapons to public scrutiny. It doesn't make any sense. It wasn't wartime. There was no war going on. It wasn't like it was the first Gulf War where they revealed the F-117 and so forth. And, it's just, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And they have the Belgian officials have no explanation for it whatsoever. So all they know is that it occurred.
Okay, and then now I've got to ask you, because this has been one of my favorite paths to go down, rabbit holes to go down, because I have such a beautiful archive now, thanks to you and Keith Chester and Fran and Jan and everyone. But I've been looking at all of these historical periodicals, and it has been very interesting to me to see how this subject matter has been manipulated by religious groups, by probably the government. I mean, steering the narrative on and kind of forcing our hand on belief systems. And what do you think? What have you seen since you've came into this field? How much do you feel that has gone on?
Well, that's another excellent question, Erica, because I don't know, the military I won't even comment on, because to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe anything they tell us, because they've given out so much disinformation over the years, and they've done so many dishonest things. I mean, the people that have passed away from being exposed to lethal chemicals at Area 51 and so forth, and they've tried to, get reparation from the government, and it always gets shot down. So I don't even. The military is in a class by itself. I don't feel, because of security reasons, and some of them legitimate, and most of them not, I think. They keep a lot of secrets. They keep a lot of things under wraps. However, it's there's no denying that somebody dies of a certain disease from radiation poisoning or something like that. There was an incident in Texas years ago where two women and their nephew were exposed to lethal doses of radiation from a UFO that was surrounded by a great number of black helicopters. And as I recall, ultimately one of the women died from her radiation poisoning. But on and on it goes. There's another, and the military is kind of a conundrum. It's a contradiction in terms. It's like military intelligence, right? You really have to wonder about that, those words. But the Rendlesham Forest incident, December of 1980, that involved the military. that was actually a high-ranking U.S. military officer on a U.S. Nuclear base in the UK, and he had multiple eyewitnesses. He has a voice recording of himself, a live recording of himself, describing these objects that he saw personally. And one of the witnesses actually reached out and touched one of the objects. And they've been to UFO conferences throughout the world, but of course it's all deniable by the military and the British government say that the incident never occurred. I don't know how they can do that when there were so many military people involved that say this did happen, and they actually had hard evidence via that audio recording that the colonel made while he was actually experiencing the sighting. But the military, like I say, is there's no sense in researching the military itself because they're going to deny everything.
Oh, but it's kind of, it is fun though. I have to say, I have enjoyed looking into some of the, the aviary and the Collins elite and some of these, and the government infiltration into NICAP back in the 60s and different things. That has been just fascinating for me.
It is. It is. And the whole story, it comes full circle, Erica, because the whole story is fascinating. One of the people that I thought was a true investigator and worthy of the name was Bud Hopkins. And he wrote several books, as you probably know. As a matter of fact, you're now in possession of several of them, probably.
Yes.
That I sent you. And I think his first one, I'm not sure, but I think his first one was called Missing Time. And he literally interviewed hundreds of people over many years.
And we'll talk about that. I hear that music again, and when we're going to take a really quick break, and then I want to get back into Bud Hopkins, and then also talk about Madar and Project Match. So we'll do that. I'm Erica Lukes. This is UFO Classified. I'm here with Rich Vitello. Stick around, ask questions in chat. We will be back.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Dad, can we make 200 cookies for my bake sale tomorrow?
Let's do this. Including checking nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We interrupt this program to annoy you and make things generally irritating.
At the end of the day, we turn the lights down in the KCOR studio.
Oh, sweet.
And crank up the hottest club songs from around the world.
This is the future.
The Grind, mixed by Tina Marie, your Vegas vixen of the high desert.
What about the body? What kind of body?
Good body. Nice body.
Every night from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Pacific. The best 3 hours of commercial-free music.
New music first.
It's time to stand up and dance your ass off. The Grind, nightly and exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Come on, it's kind of hot.
30 seconds and counting.
Broadcasting to you from another planet, beaming you a world of entertainment.
This is the world-famous KCOR. Now listen live online at KCORradio.com.
I like everything about this station.
When do I listen? Like 24 hours a day.
It's my favorite station. I just love the music. It keeps me going at work.
There is a world outside that which we live in, a realm where fact and fiction collide. The Paradigm Matrix. The Paradigm Matrix. Hosted by Willie Miranda. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room.
The 1 hour show that will surely leave you hanging on the edge of the rabbit hole. The Paradigm Matrix explores a universe of topics from UFOs, cryptozoology, conspiracies, as well as all things paranormal.
Enter a world of the twisted and deformed.
Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Paradigm Matrix. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where fact and fiction collide.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes. Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to the final segment of UFO Classified. It always makes me sad to know that the show has gone by so quickly, but it has, and it's been amazing. I will not be here next week because I'm going to be celebrating a birthday, and I am going to be out of the state to celebrate my birthday, and I'm going to be spending it with somebody that has been on my show that I really hold in high regard. We're going to go out and cause some trouble, and we'll bring in a new year for me, so I will be here in spirit next Friday, but definitely I will have the best of on the show. Make sure you reach out to me at UFOclassified.com, and also find me on Facebook, send me a message, share information about the show. Again, thanks to Northern UFOs for always being so helpful to this, and I appreciate all the people that are kind enough to donate to the show to help me keep it going. That means the world to me. I am here with Rich Vitello, who has done a great deal, and he has just now contributed his personal archive to the Utah UFO Archives, where we have a place that is open to the public. It is an education center, and I also have that in my business. I'm a master Pilates instructor, and I've had a business for 20 years, and I get to bring all of my clients in there, and I don't think there's a Pilates studio in the world that you could get a paranormal lecture at the same time you're doing Pilates and exercising, and in fact, all of us are planning a trip up to the Uinta Basin. And that's probably something that they never would have thought they'd be doing when they walked into the studio. So it's really fun. I love it. Rich Vitello is the project communications and liaison between Madar Tech Support and the project director, Fran Ridge. Madar is an important thing. It's very groundbreaking. I have a Madar unit, and I want to talk about that in Project Match with MUFON. And before we left off for break, you were just mentioning Bud Hopkins and Missing Time, the first book that he wrote, and his research. So please continue with that, because Bud Hopkins he was one of the first authors I read on the subject.
Yes, he's I respected Bud Hopkins quite a bit. I know that a lot of people discredited him because he didn't have the professional background that some of the others had. For example, the professor from Temple University, who's written several books himself, but because he's and also Dr. Mack from Harvard University, and he was tragically killed while trying to attend a UFO conference in London. He was he was hit by a car and killed. But in any event, Bud Hopkins, he passed away several years back, and he was older. He was probably a little bit older than I am now, and but he did his due diligence and research with interviewing witnesses and using hypnosis to reveal some of the abduction experiences that people had, and his books are quite fascinating. And yeah, again, it's certainly Bud certainly had his distractors, but he was I think a thorough researcher, and the professor from Temple University, his name just came to me. It's
Jacobs.
Professor Jacobs, yeah, and he's done some terrific work too. Although I'm not sure I agree with all of his conclusions, but I know that the program's getting ready to wrap up soon. So
Absolutely,
and
I want to, because I've got people in chat that are asking about Madar, and so
yeah, I want to mention the Madar project.
Sweet.
Because I haven't done that. So the Madar project is a UFO detection project, and it's got a proprietary software and proprietary hardware as well. Some of it is based on Raspbian, the operating system itself, which is a British form of Linux. However, that's where the similarities end, because all the rest of the hardware, detection hardware, and software has been developed by the Madar team and is continuously being developed as we speak. It's being modified and pushed forward on a constant basis, and it works off of the Earth's magnetic field, as well as several other parameters that are measured. Now, Madar has its own server, a dedicated server, and anybody that has a Madar unit can go on the server and get data about their particular site. Now basically the constituents can go on and look up any statistics. However, the individuals can, as far as I know now, I don't think it's changed, have access to their own data, what their unit has detected, if anything. And it gives several parameters. It gives barometric pressure, and well, I'll tell you what. Let me bring up the Madar site, and I'll just read it to you right off the map. The Madar server shows a map of all the. I can't believe that. There's thunder and lightning going on here. I thought it was my imagination.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very unusual this time of year. In any event, I have my personal node is node 2. And if you go on the Madar site, and the Madar site is exactly that. It's https :// madar.site, SITE, MADAR.SITE. And you'll come up with a map. Now, anybody can view that map. You'll come up with a map. Now, you won't be able to log in unless you have a unit, naturally. But anybody can look at that map, and if you place your mouse cursor over the particular unit, it'll give you a lot of the parameters that unit is presently seeing. And it gives you pressure, atmospheric pressure, milligauss deviations, and so forth, and compass degrees. And each node has its own ID, and it's represented by a blue dot on the map. And the map is an actual map of the world. And if you zoom out with your mouse button, with your mouse wheel, you can see that there's units as far away as New Zealand and Australia. And there's a couple in the UK as well. There's many, of course, in the United States. And the server, the MADAR server, collects data from all of these sites from all over the world. And so it's tabulating, and Fran puts out a report about once a week of anomalies that occur that he has picked out as being, of particular interest. So it's a fascinating project. It's constantly moving forward. I don't think it'll ever stand still. The software can be immensely complicated, and we've got some pretty good people that are working on it over the last 2 years or more.
And how do you keep, because I know that security is always of utmost concern. Is this is something that's secure? And what kind of data? Yeah, I'm sure that I know if anybody's on it, you guys are.
Is anybody what? I'm sorry?
Well, if anybody is concerned about security protocols, then that would be you. But what security precautions do you take with MADAR?
Well, first of all, the website itself, the MADAR web server, has your standard web security, and it's something that you have to invoke yourself. It's not automatic, but the MADAR site has that security, and also, the data, as I say, is protected in the respect that unless you actually own one of these units, you can't actually log into the server to see specific data on specific nodes. So, for example, if I log in and you can submit it. It's a database. And it'll show you the records of your readings, the various readings, the compass degrees and ambient temperature, and so on and so forth, pressure. And anybody that has a unit can look up their own, settings, and they can alter their settings too, the parameters, for example, the sensitivity and so on and so forth of individual nodes. And it gets, the software, like I say, is immensely complicated. But the long and the short of it is that to the data presented to the user, the average user, is pretty straightforward. In other words, a lot of the stuff that you see on the map, and for the people that have nodes that log into the server, MADAR server, a lot of the things go on behind the scenes. And so, you see, when you first go onto the MADAR server, you see a pretty map, you know what I mean, with the dots. And it looks pretty straightforward and simple, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And again, if you hover over a dot and then click on it, it'll give you a representation of what that particular node is seeing at that particular time. And anybody that's interested in MADAR should contact Fran Rinch. And you can look up, again, you can Google MADAR, and you'll come up with a ton of information. Fran has a lot of information on his websites regarding the project and an explanation, detailed explanation of the basics of how it works and the future going forward, what the future plans are.
And so, talk about the project match with the MUFON database.
Okay, that I'm not too familiar with because Fran has handled most of that himself.
Okay.
And I know that MUFON had, and again, I haven't stayed current with this up to date, up to the minute, but MUFON had a dedicated individual that would try to correlate the data from the MADAR sightings, or potential MADAR sightings, and their data of what they had reported, if you follow my meaning. So
yes, I do, absolutely. And I have to say that Philip Leach is the one who instigated MUFON working with Fran Rinch, which is very cool. And, I know that Fran was very excited about that.
Yes, he was, and still is, I believe. And like I say, the project. I don't think the sky is the limit because the technology is moving forward so fast that they're constantly discovering new ways of picking up readings with the hardware and the software, and MADAR has its own proprietary board in the unit that has been custom designed for the unit. So the development is just never ending. It's ongoing.
And I have to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you off there.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you too, because this is something that, living in Utah where we have a lot of military testing and things, would MADAR potentially, would it be able to pick up military testing?
Well, that's a good question, isn't it?
And perhaps it's one we shouldn't answer on.
Well, the thing is that, the problem is not MADAR. The problem is the military. We don't know what they have. They might have things that are so far and away advanced of what we're thinking of that, I can only speculate in that area. And, I would say that I wouldn't put anything past the military. So, whether they have their own, you've heard the stories from Area 51 and the development of reverse engineering UFOs and so forth. If they've in fact have been successful at doing that, they may have something in that realm, and as of course it would be a top secret military project, and we'd never know about it until
the Men in Black show up.
Pardon me?
Until the Men in Black show up.
Yeah, it's like, like I say, there's no sense in calling the Area 51 base. They're not going to discuss things with you,
Well, I know, but it's certainly it was fun to try. In fact, I just have to throw in this little story because it makes me laugh. But when I first had a series of sightings here in over the Salt Lake Valley, I was, being the concerned citizen that I am, and knowing that these sightings were in the flight corridor for the international airport, Salt Lake International Airport, and we've got top secret weapons testing, chemical testing facility not too far from Salt Lake. I, of course, just for fun, thought I'd call call out there and see if I could get a hold of anybody. But of course, that didn't work. It probably just put me on their list, but it made me smile nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can't fault a person for trying. I mean, it's after all, it is our government and our military. It's not like you're calling Moscow or something like that. And you would think that the military would have at least accommodating public relations people, but
no.
I think they're even lacking that.
Yep. No, I was doing a background check on somebody, and I did call branch of the military and things, and they were very accommodating. But when I've tried to reach out to other places, they haven't been accommodating. But then you hear stories from different researchers who have great relationships with people. So it's a crapshoot. But I want to know, because you've been doing this for so long, and you understand, like most of us here, that there is something very genuine taking place, something that deserves to be researched and respected. Give us, just in closing, some of the most important moments of your life and how you feel you have made change.
Well, I'll say the things that stand out in my mind over many years are, again, the eyewitness reports of people that I have personally interviewed. And, I haven't published anything, you know what I mean? I haven't revealed all this data to different people, because there's so much of it already available. But it just impressed me when I interview people in person. They're bewildered and perplexed, but they're fascinated by it. And some people are scared of it. I mean, rightfully so. They don't understand what's going on, but they know that they've been an eyewitness to something. So that's this thing that stands out in my mind. The other thing is we've talked about the monster of the internet, the web, and the amount of data that's has accumulated is amazing. And if you know where to look, you like for example, the NICAP site. If you know where to look to do the research, and you're willing to spend time on it, it's an invaluable resource. It truly is. It's because what took us many years and many books, hard copies years and years ago, somebody can, you can just type it into Google and you'll come up with most of the stuff on any particular sighting. So that's a very powerful tool. And that stands out in my mind as being, while there's a lot of disinformation out there, if you go to the reliable websites, that stands out in my mind as being an invaluable resource.
So has there ever been a point in your life where this has been so difficult, other than your dear friend's passing, that you just wanted to get out of the game? Or have you always had that conviction? I mean, I know that for me, this is really a frustrating field.
Absolutely. That's why I've seen over the years, that's another thing that stands out in my mind. I've seen a lot of people in the field come and go. And, because it is frustrating, because it is, it's like they say, the giggle factor, especially in this country. People, you had a sighting, or you're interviewing an eyewitness, and what's the first thing, if you were to share that with somebody, the public, the first thing they would probably do is make fun of it. And that's why people are gun shy. They don't want to come forward. If they know somebody personally like myself who they feel they can trust, they'll open up. But otherwise, it's the public has been duped over the years, over the last 70 years, by the government, and because people have been laughed at and discredited, and that's a shame. It really is.
And I couldn't agree with you more. It is really heartbreaking that so many people, I was mentioning on break, researchers like James McDonald, people that have really serious careers that have absolutely been annihilated, and for the sake of what? I mean, I suppose national security is a big one, but the other, there could have been other ways maybe to deal with things other than to discredit people who've been traumatized.
Well, it's like you said, Erica. For ufologists, at the very least, it's frustrating. At the very least, and at the worst, it's maddening. And it's the thing is that I've wanted to throw in the towel a number of times.
And I can hear that music, and that means the show's coming to a close, and I'm going to have you back, so just prepare yourself. But I'm glad you didn't throw in the towel. And I'm glad that you're here and you're helping me learn from everything that you've been through. Rich Vitello, you are incredible, and I want you to go to arufon.org to find out more about his project. Go to NICAP.org, and I will actually have a guest host next week, so stick around for Willie Miranda, and I will catch you soon.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network.